Many people laugh off maladaptive daydreaming, treating it like a harmless quirk. But for those who experience it, the reality is much more serious. Imagine living in a world where your fantasies feel more real than your actual life. The fantasy becomes a powerful escape, offering love, excitement, or safety. Everything you feel is missing in your day-to-day existence. But when the daydream fades, you're left with the same pain and loneliness that drove you to escape in the first place. This cycle can quickly become a trap, making it harder and harder to return to reality. Maladaptive daydreaming isn't just about having an active imagination. It's about creating a world so vivid and compelling that reality starts to feel like a place you only visit out of necessity. The fantasy world promises everything you're missing: love, excitement, safety. But when you're forced to return to reality, the contrast is painful. The dissatisfaction and loneliness that pushed you into fantasy are still there waiting. This endless cycle can make it feel impossible to break free, as the fantasy becomes more appealing than real life. What makes maladaptive daydreaming so addictive is how real it feels. Your body reacts, your heart races, and your emotions respond as if the fantasy is actually happening. You become attached to scenarios where you're admired, rescued, or deeply loved, things your subconscious craves, but none of these experiences ever come to life in the real world. That's where the pain comes in. Deep down, you know that the only real thing in those stories is you, and you deserve to feel those emotions with real people, not just in your imagination. After the daydream ends, reality can feel even more painful. The excitement and love you felt in your fantasy are replaced by the same dissatisfaction and loneliness that pushed you to escape in the first place. This emotional roller coaster can be exhausting, leaving you feeling stuck in a loop of imaginary satisfaction that never truly fulfills you. The more you escape, the harder it becomes to face real life, and the more distant you feel from genuine happiness. Breaking free from maladaptive daydreaming starts with honesty. You have to recognize the addiction for what it is and be willing to face it head on. This means identifying and cutting out the triggers, like certain music, audio clips, or even small habits that pull you back into fantasy. The first days without these escapes can feel empty, uncomfortable, and even painful, but this discomfort is actually a sign of healing. It means you're starting to return to yourself rather than running away. Triggers are the small things that open the door to your fantasy world. It could be a song, a certain place, or even a specific time of day. Learning to spot these triggers is crucial. Once you know what they are, you can start to avoid them or replace them with healthier habits. This process isn't easy, but it's an important step in breaking the cycle of escape and returning to real life. When you first stop daydreaming, you might feel a deep sense of emptiness. The emotional escape you relied on is suddenly gone, leaving you face to face with feelings you've been avoiding. This stage is tough, but it's also a sign that you're healing. By sitting with your discomfort, you begin to rebuild your sense of self, your identity, your purpose, and your confidence without relying on fantasy. Healing from maladaptive daydreaming means learning to reconnect with your real emotions. Instead of running from discomfort, you start to face it. Positive affirmations, journaling, meditation, and even moments of stillness can help you get in touch with your feelings. These practices allow you to process your emotions in a healthy way, rather than escaping into fantasy. Recovery begins when you decide that your real life deserves more attention than your fantasies. This means building new routines and habits that nourish you instead of numbing you. Try picking up new hobbies, exploring interests, or simply spending more time with supportive people. These changes help you create a life that feels worth living, reducing the urge to escape into daydreams. The content you consume can have a big impact on your mood and mindset. Choose books, shows, and music that lift you up, rather than content that drags you back into sadness or fantasy. Surround yourself with positivity and inspiration, and you'll find it easier to stay grounded in reality. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of taking small, consistent steps toward a healthier life. Celebrate your progress no matter how minor it seems. Each day you spend more time in reality and less in fantasy is a victory. Over time, these small changes add up, helping you build a life that feels more fulfilling and authentic. As you spend more time in the real world, you'll start to rebuild your confidence. You'll discover strengths and abilities you may have forgotten about. Each positive experience in reality helps reinforce the idea that you can find satisfaction and happiness outside of fantasy. This renewed confidence makes it easier to resist the pull of daydreaming. One of the most powerful ways to break free from maladaptive daydreaming is to connect with real people. Building genuine relationships can provide the love, support, and excitement you once sought in your fantasies. Reach out to friends, family, or support groups. These connections remind you that you're not alone and that real life can offer the fulfillment you crave. Every step you take toward recovery is worth celebrating. Notice the moments when you choose reality over fantasy and give yourself credit for your courage. Recovery is a journey, and it's important to acknowledge your progress along the way. These celebrations help reinforce your commitment to living a more authentic life. Breaking free from maladaptive daydreaming isn't easy, but it's possible. By facing your addiction, building healthy routines, and connecting with others, you can create a life that feels real and meaningful. Remember, you deserve to experience love, excitement, and safety in the real world, not just in your imagination. Your journey to recovery is a new beginning, and every step forward brings you closer to the life you truly want.